What is good, Alabama fans? I am your host, Chris Daughtry. This is the Alabama Football Report. We appreciate you guys for joining us today. We're going to be breaking down Alabama's wide receiver depth chart for this 2024 season. You know, outside of the top 2 or 3 guys for this wide receiver room, there's a lot of question marks outside of that. So we're going to break that down for you today. But before we get into it, I just want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Who do you guys believe will lead Alabama in receiving yards in 2024? A lot of good names on this wide receiver depth chart, and I cannot wait to see how Kalen DeBoer uses them on the field in this 2024 season. So let me know who you think will lead Alabama in receiving yards in 2024. Like I said, there's a lot of good talent in this wide receiver room. But outside, Germie Bernard, Kendrick Law, Kobe Prentice, a lot of question marks. You know, Emmanuel Henderson, a guy that came in as a running back commit a couple years ago, transferred over to the wide receiver room. Caleb Odom, a very talented freshman coming in, originally a tight end, transferring over to the wide receiver room as well. Jalen Hale, unfortunately, is injured. He'll be out pretty much the entire season, it seems like. And then you've got a lot of really talented freshmen as well, including Ryan Williams, one of the names that I think will make a big impact on this Alabama team in 2024. Before we get really into the nitty-gritty of the Alabama wide receivers, I want to throw it back to last year's Washington's top wide receivers in 2023. You know, Rome Odunze, he was absolutely insane last year. 92 receptions, 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns, drafted number 9 overall to the Chicago Bears. Jalen Polk was their number 2 wide receiver. He put up almost 1,200 yards, another 9 touchdowns. He went in the second round of the NFL draft to the New England Patriots. And then Jalen McMillan, 45 receptions, 559 yards, 5 touchdowns. He went in the third round to the Bucs. So 3 different wide receivers going in the NFL draft for Kalen DeBoer's Washington team last year. And then you got Germie Bernard, who transferred to Alabama. So their number 4 wide receiver transfers to Alabama. And we'll get into it a little bit more, but I think he's probably going to be Alabama's number 1 wide receiver this year. And if you look at the top 2 wide receivers for Washington last year and the top 2 wide receivers for Alabama last year, Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk versus Jermaine Burton and Isaiah Bond, there is absolutely no reason why Alabama's wide receivers should not be better than they were last year. Jermaine Burton and Isaiah Bond, 2 very good wide receivers for Alabama, shared, the bulk of, the catches and the yards for Alabama at that receiving core. But still, if you compare and contrast their receiving yards are like half what Rome Odunze and Jalen Polk were last year. I think that really is an indictment on Tommy Rees as Alabama's offensive coordinator and how he was using guys and just not, at the end of the day, getting the full potential out of what Alabama had at that wide receiver position last year. So I want you guys to get in the comments today at the pinned comment. Will Alabama have 2 1,000-yard wide receivers in 2024? Type Y for yes, N for no. If that ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Get down there and let me know. You guys believe Alabama will have 2 1,000-yard wide receivers in 2024? Jalen Hale, we talked about him a minute ago, just super unfortunate that he went down with an injury in the spring. You saw what he did last year for Alabama. Only 5 receptions, but 148 yards on those 5 receptions. Had 1 really long touchdown for 51 yards. And he was going to be that guy, I think, for Alabama that was really, really going to break out being an outside receiver. And it just, unfortunately, he's not going to be there for Alabama. This was the report from Molly McGrath. Mike Rodak tweeting it back. I think she talked to Kalen DeBoer on A-Day. Yeah. Kalen DeBoer said, he told me that he'll probably miss the majority, if not all of the regular season, but he could be available for the end of the year. It's too soon to tell, but right now, it's not looking good. At the end of the day, I think a lot of it is hopium of him coming back at the end of the season. It's an extended year this year. There's more playoff games. So, maybe there's a chance that he could, but I don't know at the end of the day. We look over to Kendrick Law now, and I made this graphic intentionally with all the zeros on the carries and the rush yards, but this is his career stats, 24 games, only 23 receptions, 238 yards, and at the end of the day, it really pisses me off that Kendrick Law is not getting involved in the run game, whether that be, jet sweeps or whatever. And some of those, I guess, could have been jet sweeps that he got, that it was that little pop pass where he was, coming across the formation right at the snap. If the quarterback tosses it to the wide receiver and he drops it, it's an incomplete pass. If he fumbles the handoff, then it's a fumble and, you're losing yards, play goes on, maybe the other team gets the ball at the end of the day. But Kendrick Law is the most Deebo Samuel comp I think that you can make, especially on Alabama's team. But at the end of the day, I think he is the most Deebo Samuel comp you can make. This is a guy that can line up in the backfield. He can line up in the slot. You can do so much with him. There is no reason whatsoever he should have 0 carries and 0 rushing yards and 0 touchdowns through 2 seasons of his career at Alabama. Kobe Prentice is another top wide receiver, I think, for Alabama this year. And, he's done pretty decent at the end of the day for 2 seasons at Alabama, freshman and sophomore year. Had 49 receptions, 651 yards, 13.3 average, and 4 touchdowns. He's busted some big plays for Alabama up the middle. He's gone deep. And I loved what I saw from Kobe Prentice as well out of high school. Got a chance to see him play live in person in high school. So I'm a big fan of Kobe Prentice, and I can't wait to see what he does for Alabama this year. I definitely think he's going to be in the top 3 for Alabama in receiving yards. Make sure you guys check out Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/Alabama jerseys. Get your jerseys. Get ready for game day. Get ready for the 2024 season. You can get those crimson jerseys. You can get the white jerseys. You can customize jersey. Get a Kalen DeBoer jersey if you want to. Get a Jalen Milroe jersey if you want to, too. They also have some alumni jerseys on there as well. You can get up to 30% off on those jerseys. I think they're like $104, originally like $140. So pretty decent deal over at Fanatics right now. So go to chatsports.com/Alabama jerseys. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. There will also be a little clickable link right over there in the corner that you guys can click on. Some of the wild cards for Alabama at that wide receiver position. Emmanuel Henderson is a guy that I really like a lot. I can't wait to see him get on the field and be able to put some production on the field for Alabama. Came in as a running back recruit, makes that transition over to the wide receiver room. You got Bubba Hampton, a very talented freshman coming in. Jaron Hamilton also coming in his second season with the Crimson Tide. Also, he's got a ton of speed that we will talk about here in just a little bit. Ryan Williams, everybody knows Ryan Williams at this point. 5-star wide receiver coming in the 2024 class. Originally was supposed to be in that 2025 class. I definitely think he gets on the field for Alabama in some capacity this year, whether that be something like returning punts or even getting in on offense and making some plays as a wide receiver. And then you got Caleb Odom, another guy that transferred over from the tight end position to that wide receiver position. Got a lot of praise in the spring. And then you got guys like Rico Scott, Cole Adams, Amari Jefferson. I'm really excited to see how they use Cole Adams. I thought, in the spring game, we'll talk about that coming up right here. He showed some flashes, only 3 receptions at the end of the day, but 46 yards and a long of 20 yards. I don't necessarily, I assume they're probably going to use him in the slot a lot, but not somebody in the spring game that I really expected to break out per se, and I thought he did really good in the spring. Emmanuel Henderson also had 3 receptions, 21 yards. He had an 8-yard long. And then Caleb Odom had 2 receptions for 11 yards and then 7 yards on that long as well. So when it comes to Emmanuel Henderson, just by himself, Do you think he will break out in 2024? Type 1 for yes or 0 for no. I'm really excited to see what he can do for Alabama in 2024. I think he brings a lot of things to the table, and it'll be a shame if Alabama can't get him on the field. So let me know what you think right now in the comments section. Do you think Emmanuel Henderson breaks out this season? Type 1 for yes or 0 for no. Jaron Hamilton, like we said a second ago, this kid brings a lot of speed to the table. In 2019, he ran at the AAU Junior Olympics. In 2020, he ran a 10.9 100-meter dash. That is blazing fast. In the 400 meters, he ran a 48.69 second 400-meter dash. And then in 2021, a 21.99 200-meter dash. This kid brings a lot of speed to the table, and I think Kalen DeBoer is somebody. He's very smart on the offensive side of the ball. You know, he was a wide receiver. He knows how to get these wide receivers to be able to make plays, and Jaron Hamilton is somebody that they can't afford to be able to not get on the field in some capacity this year. So I, really hope that they're able to do that, and I would love to see him get some production on the field this year as well. Ryan Williams, we talk about him a lot, man. These are his high school stats where he just went absolutely crazy in his sophomore and junior seasons. 1,600 yards as a sophomore, 39 touchdowns is absolutely ridiculous. And then to back it up again, 1,300 yards in his junior season, 30 carries. He can rush the ball in a ton of different ways. He's just a playmaker at the end of the day. Kalen DeBoer is definitely going to be able to find a way to get this kid on the field, I think. And, we talked about it a lot too. He's done a lot for Alabama so far on the recruiting trail as well. And then going into the freshman wide receivers coming in, Ryan Williams, the number 4 overall, number 3 wide receiver. Caleb Odom coming over to the wide receiver room from that tight end spot. And then Rico Scott, number 303 overall, number 48 wide receiver. Arian Hampton, number 227 overall, number 9 athlete, also a 4-star. And then Amari Jefferson coming in, the number 35 wide receiver in the 2024 class. I really love this freshman class that Alabama was able to bring in. I don't know necessarily to the extent of which guys are going to be able to get on the field for Alabama, because this wide receiver room has a lot of talent. I just don't think in the past they were used correctly, especially with Tommy Rees. I thought he was going to be better than he was, but at the end of the day, Tommy Rees was not a good play caller for Alabama. I think Ryan Williams and Caleb Odom are your top 2 names to be able to really come into this year and be able to put some production on the field for Alabama. So I want to hear from you guys one more time here in the comments section. Who do you guys think puts up more production for Alabama in 2024 out of those freshman wide receivers? Type RW if you think it's going to be Ryan Williams, or type CO if you think it'll be Caleb Odom.